Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Heather. Today is IOD's 2024 Spring Release Day, and this is Create Your Own Cozy. A year ago, I was asked by IOD to be part of their creative design team and get stuff ready for release day. Here I am exactly 1 year later, and I'm excited. I'm so excited that I am an IOD stockist now and am carrying this new release. This is my very first new release as a stockist. Before I get started on my projects, don't forget to check out the link in my description below that has a list of all the other creative design team members' videos and their ideas for this new release. In addition, I am going to just put this little clip right here. This little clip was for my video last year, and it's just a little like nudge to put stuff out there. You never know what will happen. I use these cheap little plastic stamps that they sell on Amazon or sometimes at Hobby Lobby. This is just my plug IOD. I would love for you guys to come up with a great way to have small letter and number stamps. I love it because look, this is not even staying on. They're a mess. We need small, amazing stamps from IOD. Look at these new Apothecary labels, mini stamps that Iron Orchid Designs came up with. If you can only buy one new product from this release, this is absolutely the one I would recommend. Nobody's limiting your purchase to just one, but look at them. First of all, I want you to notice the blue tint to these. The IOD sisters note that when you are using small letters that they can easily get lost, and there is a blue tint to these so that you can see them if you misplace them. I'm going to show you against some white. The other thing is there are 4 different fonts of letters within the set, and they have them individually. You can put them in an envelope individually to try to contain the letters once you've been using them. It also has numbers and Roman numerals. And here are the individual envelopes to keep everything nice and tidy. The other 2 sheets that are included are these really cute labels. There is the ability to use the symbols and letters and numbers within these labels. Also, don't forget, you could roll out a flat piece of IOD clay, stamp the label into the clay, and kind of make that, or you could just use all ink with all this stuff. So many great options. I can think of a whole bunch of organizational stuff I want to do in my home, but make it look really, really cute. What do you guys think of this? Like, I am so excited that I put this out there into the universe, and guys, ask for what you want. You never know. This is so exciting. Now, I'm going to show you the next 2 products. These are 2 of the molds that are coming out. I feel like this part is really exciting. The sisters added some lettering, some raised lettering on the side of the new molds. Look at this. So now you can stack your molds and see what you've got. But if you didn't want to stamp the labels, I just love these Conservatory label molds. They are so detailed and precious, and you can see that depending on which one you're using and how long your word is, you can also use these stamps. They are meant to work well together. And the projects in my mind, guys, I cannot wait to get to my pantry project. Well, maybe I can, but when I do, I know what I am going to do in there. So now that I've shown you some of the new release items, let's go ahead and get started with project number one. I am going to get out some cornstarch and make all of the conservatory molds. I don't know which ones I'm going to use yet, so I just decided let's just make all of the molds and see which ones work best for my project. This is my first time using IOD air dry clay. My local stockist never carried it, so I always would run to Hobby Lobby. But let me say, as someone who used to take pottery classes, like this feels like legit soft, great clay. So I am happy with it, and obviously I know someone now that carries it, so I will be using IOD clay moving forward. But look how beautiful these labels are. Oh my gosh, I am just hooked. Like, you could even use this on furniture projects. Look at this one right here under a handle. You might see that later in this video. So I made sure I closed this up, got a wet paper towel and put it in a bag to keep it nice and moist. And right here, guys, I feel like I'm at a nice restaurant. I've been like once or twice at the restaurants where they clean off the table from the crumbs. I don't know why, I just thought to show you guys that. This step isn't necessary to indent into the clay, but since this is my first time using these stamps, I'm going to go ahead and season them with 220 grit sandpaper. It just has some grit to the actual stamp and allows the ink to grab on a lot easier. So I'm just doing that proactively, even though I'm not using ink in today's video. Now, I have 5-month-old pictures of all 3 of my girls hanging on a gallery wall, and they have fallen off the wall a couple times. So the actual frames are ready for an upcycle, but there are times where people don't know which one is which kid, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to label them since I need to paint these anyway. So I spelled out each kid's name. The great part of using the little backing is you can make sure your letters are nice and straight, and with that blue you can totally see them. And I am just putting the girls' names in each of these conservatory labels. Now, I could have also stamped their names, but I wanted to just indent them. So I did all 3 of their names, and with Piper, I had to reuse the P, and that was really easy. You just kind of space it out. Look at that. Can you believe this kid right here is 14 years old? Oh my gosh, I can hardly handle it. I glued these on with Type On Quick and Thick, and then after it was completely dry, I decided to paint the whole thing with DIY paint in the color Praire Gray. After I did 2 coats of the Praire Gray, I grabbed some faded burlap and kind of did it a little bit like a dry brush so that you could see the brush marks, so it looked a little bit different. After that, I did seal it with liquid patina so that the paint does not get reactivated. Now, when I finally get to this gallery wall project in my house, I may end up adding some wax to make these look a little bit older. I don't know what the total look of the space is going to be yet. So right now I'm just going to leave this the way that it is. And I am going to look at these precious, precious little pictures of Piper, my 14-year-old, Hadley, my 12-year-old, and Camden, my 9-year-old, when they were cute little 5-month-olds. And what do you guys think of this project? For you guys who have been following me for a little while, you'll know that I am on a thrifting fast for the whole first quarter of this year. I have about a half a month left. I'm doing great. But that has not stopped my mother-in-law from keep texting me things and saying, "Hey, do you want this?" And when it came to this cute little birdhouse, I couldn't say no. It did have a crack in the bottom. So I repaired that with some wood glue, and this is just not my style. So I'm going a little creative here. I am grabbing French Millenary from DIY Paint. I went over the bottom part with 2 solid coats, and I'm going to add this beautiful mold to the top. So I wanted to go ahead and glue that on before I added any paint to it. So I did just like I did in the first project and put down some cornstarch to allow the mold to come out well. And make sure that you curve the plastic mold and not so much the clay, and you will get better results. You can see the incredible detail in this mold. Some of them were a little tender, and I could see how resin would be a good idea depending on what you're going to use them on. But for this one, the clay worked really well. So I'm using the Type On Quick and Thick. I am getting my leaves in place, wiping off any excess glue, and after my clay is in place, I'm going down and pushing down all the edges of the leaves to make sure that there is a nice adhesion. And I am so happy with this particular mold. I feel like it is going to be very versatile. I think it's going to be great paired with some of the floral molds that IOD already creates. I think it's going to be like this leaf as such a versatile leaf. I attempted to put something over the little door and I didn't like it, so I just took it off and then repainted it. Now, after it is dried overnight, just because of timing, you could probably paint after like an hour. I went ahead and did 2 coats of the French Millenary, and this is when I started to think, what am I actually doing with this? I have a piece of furniture that I've been wanting to try this technique on, where you very much water down some of the colors and you have them run together. And I figured, why not try this with the small before I go crazy and try it with the piece of furniture? So it is a learning experience, that's for sure. I needed to water down my brush probably a lot more and use a lot less spraying in making this mess. But here's what I want you to take away from this. Try something a little bit different. This was a fun process because I could see how much I could play with the paint and how it dripped over the molds. I just really loved the look of that. Now, when I do my bigger piece of furniture, I am not going to do like purple and green. I'm probably going to use colors that are a little bit more subtly different, but this was great for practice. But you can see I just get better, and now my brush is a little bit wetter, and I'm just learning the technique. So try something new this week. I mean, hi, the IOD release is here. So try something maybe you wouldn't normally try and have some fun and feed that creative soul within you. This is really good for me. I am just kind of dabbing off the excess. Here is version 1. My husband looked at it and said, "Is that what my mom gave you? Why'd you paint it?" And he was right. I wouldn't put this in my house. So how would I make it more my style? After I sealed it, I painted it with 2 coats of vintage linen. And now I'm using a very wet rag and I am wiping back the vintage linen. And since the colors were sealed, that is what is going to peek through. And guys, this turned out better than I even had in my imagination. I know I went on quite the little journey, but to kind of see that gray purple sneaking through and the beautiful Gypsy Green color. I think I forgot to tell you what green that was. Gypsy Green color kind of peeking through with this beautiful white. I don't know if I can put this in my booth. I might need to put this in my home this spring. It is a little church birdhouse and I love, love, love it. Now I did seal the top coat once I was done with the wet distressing, and I totally love this little church birdhouse with this beautiful mold on the top. What are some ways you guys would use this mold? So for projects 3 and 4 today, I am using the brand new paint inlay called Lattice Rose. Guys, stick with me. This paint inlay is my favorite of this release, and I think I might have to grab another. There are 2 of each of the sheets that I am showing you. This one right here reminds me of the rose chintz that they had and is now retired and I'm in love with. And then here is the 4th design. There are 4 designs, 2 pages of each for a total of 8 pages. I went in my junk stash. Guys, I have a pile of junk too. I haven't shown you. But there are these 2 drawers in that little junk pile. And I thought, what a great way to upcycle. I cleaned up the drawers. You can see that they are bleeders. I took off the plastic pieces. And I thought I was just going to make these cute little trays and really show off the patchwork quilt type look that this particular inlay has. I use Salvation Solution in the color white as a sort of a primer or shellac, and that blocks the tannins from this wood that is clearly bleeding through and allows me to kind of have a fresh surface to work with. Next, I'm going to dry fit my paint inlay and cut it to size. And now it's time for some paint. So paint inlays adhere to the paint and become one with the paint. So what I'm doing is adding 1 coat of French Millenary, letting it dry all the way, and then doing the 2nd coat. And the 2nd coat, I'm going a little bit thicker. This is the paint that I want my inlay to adhere to and kind of meld with. So I'm making sure there's a nice solid coat, and you'll see I put it down and then pull it up. This turned out just fine because this is paint. So where the paint ends up, it's going to dry. So I rub it in with my finger, and then I'm going to spray it down with my water mister and make sure I wipe up any pools and let it dry completely before doing this next step, which is get it wet again. Make sure it is solid and wet, but not soaking, and then pull it back. Look how satisfying. How good do these colors look with that French Millenary? Woo! I just love it so much. Now I am going to put on a painted mold from project number 1, and I'm just going to glue that on, make sure I have the hole already punched through before it dries all the way. And I do end up having to glue the knob in. I wanted to keep the vintage knob and screw, and the screw was not long enough since I added the clay, but it's not a working drawer anymore, so it totally worked out fine glued. Now I am going to do this side pink. I'm making it a little extra. I did petticoat pink on the side and gypsy green on the inside just to make the sky just precious. Now for this side, I am using the inlay from the next project, but time number 2. So it is not going to be as distinct as the first time, but I did do it over faded burlap in project number 4 and then put it over top of petticoat pink, and I just wanted to show you how that turned out. I wanted this to be like an older look, so I'm just putting this on. Again, this is second use. It was over faded burlap prior, but I put it on there. I try to get as many wrinkles out of it. I really want this to look old eventually, so I was kind of okay with the wrinkles. So here is that coming off, exactly what I wanted it to look like. So I am going to load up my brush and put a top coat over this. If you are scared of your paint smearing, then use a spray top coat. If you use it on a brush, just have a very light hand and do not overwork the top coat. Again, if you're scared, just use a spray top coat to get it all sealed in. So I am sealing everything in, and then I decide I want to age this guy. I put dark wax everywhere. I put little legs on this one, and then I'll show you I do a secondary drawer with faded burlap and Praire Gray and some dark wax, and I just love these cute little drawers. I'm gonna let you watch the rest of this project. Let me know, what do you guys think of using this paint inlay on small projects? I have seen some really cute projects that some of the stockists have used over on the stockist page. Just wait till you see them. They are precious. Have I convinced you to try a paint inlay yet? Let's try one more project. This one was inspired. This is in my upstairs sitting room. It was done with the rose chintz. It's one of my favorite pieces of furniture that I upcycled and never sold. This guy right here, it is like my first ever grown-up bedroom set, and I decided it was from Rooms to Go. It was painted with wall paint. Let's upcycle it and get it out of my house. I think it's time. So I dry fit these particular roses. I am just in love with this pattern. For the front of the drawers, I'm just making sure that the rose pattern is to my liking when they're over top of each other. I'm painting right over this wall paint. I'm using faded burlap, and then I'm going to two-tone this piece with Praire Gray. So I'm doing one solid coat, and then the second coat is where the paint inlays are going to come in. just wanted to show you that the paint inlay does not go all the way to the edge of the sheet, so you do need to cut off a little bit of that paper if you want the paint inlay to go all the way to the edge on your project. And you'll see faded burlap, Praire Gray. So here I am, second coat of paint. I'm putting the paint inlay on, doing that same process. It is rinse and repeat for these guys, and every time you become more of an expert. So why not just start? Like, I feel like this particular paint inlay is a great entry level. It's like a gateway drug for paint inlays. Guys, it is so cute. I can think of so many smalls. And you know what? If you're scared of furniture, start with a little tiny piece of furniture. Guys, these sell well in booths, and you can make such an impact. Look. Oh, it is so beautiful. I mean, if it's not broke, do not fix it. Faded burlap and these roses. Here, let's do it again. Let's show you one more time how magical this reveal can be. Make sure you don't have any standing water and just slowly pull back. Now, if it's tough to pull up, spray more water. You want to make sure that it's easy to pull away. Now, I'm going to show you some mistakes. You're welcome. You're going to get real here. I make plenty of mistakes, and I am not going to pretend like I don't. So I'm going to show them to you. I am doing the second coat of Praire Gray. I am using the paint inlay with the white stripes, and I feel like this came out so gorgeous. I just kind of centered it. And in my mind, I was like, okay, well, I have one page for each side of this. Surely I can just second use that bottom little section. We'll get back to that. So I am doing the same technique right here. Again, this is over Praire Gray, and this white turned out gorgeous over Praire Gray. I don't know if you would have more longevity with the white if you used it over a lighter color, but the first use for this, I feel like, was a very impactful use. Check this out. I'm spraying it down again. Let's pull her up and see the beauty. Getting it started is usually the hardest part. But look how pretty that white looks against the Praire Gray. I'm totally loving it. So I do one solid sheet on each side. Now, here was my first mistake. Thinking the second use of this page was going to look fine against the first use. Did anybody see that coming? I mean, obviously, hindsight, it is not going to look right up next against it. So good. I'm going to lay them out to dry, and then look, I'm going to cut it. I'm going to put the second use, I'm going to butt it up to it. I'm going to reapply the paint and have a nice solid perfectionist brush line right here. And let's see how this one turns out. For it. Do as I say, don't do as I do. Guys, I put this one on backwards. I mean, what? I was just working so fast. I put that one on backwards. So nothing came out. The other side I put on the correct way, and you can see this is not going to work. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? Do I wait for my full shipment to get here and open another pack? Henry, what do I do? And I was like, you know what? No. Like, let's be a problem solver. Let's come up with something that works. So I grabbed this particular sheet, which I had barely used. I painted a strip of vintage linen, which seemed to be the color that matched the white as close as possible. And this is probably not the way I would have designed it in the beginning had I known, but I thought it was a good workaround. It was a good way to show off the different styles and how they go together. And I just made sure that both sides were equal, that I had it centered, and that the green, like I thought about using a green strip, but I wanted this green to shine. So that is when I went with the white. Now I decided I am going to distress this piece. I'm going to wet distress this piece just to have this vintage look to it. And it shows you that you guys can work on these little furniture pieces. Again, really light hand right here. I am not overworking this. Otherwise, the actual paint will smear. So if you're nervous about that, just use a spray. In fact, because of the white Praire Gray nature of this, I got too scared and I went outside and sprayed this section. So either way, it totally works. Just go with your comfort level. What do you guys think of this small piece of furniture? I think it looks so much better, and I'm ready to go get it in the booth. All right, what do you guys think of the items that I featured in today's video? Did I change your mind about a paint inlay? Do you just love, love, love the new mini letters that IOD came out with just for me? I'm just kidding. It's totally not just for me. But it is so great when things that you really, really want happen. Do you know what I mean? Now, there are a number of other items in this release that after I had made my initial selection, I had some FOMO about. So I'm really excited about a couple of these other items. You know, I will be using them in upcoming videos. All of the products as of 12:30 p.m. Eastern time will be available in my booth at Soul Sisters Antiques up in Dawsonville, Georgia. The information on that will be below, and on my website at www.createyourowncozy.com. For all of you who are supporting my business, I just wanted to say thank you from the depths of my heart. You guys, I am just constantly surprised by the amount of excitement you guys have for me for doing this IOD stockist thing, and the amount of support that you guys are offering me and my family by supporting my business. So I just wanted to say thank you. If you are new here to my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. If you enjoyed today's content, please consider hitting subscribe and hitting that notification bell to all so you get notified every time I upload a new video. If you think that other people would love this Create Your Own Cozy family, please feel free to share this with your people and let them be our people as well. Next Monday, I am going to put out an extra video for the month. I missed my February extra video because of the flu, but my dining room project is done. I am just working on some tweaks to the styling. I love it so much. I smile every time I look at it. There's a little tiny sneak peek and some of the after photos in this video. I don't know if you caught that, but be on the lookout for that video this coming Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And then I will have another DIY video next Friday. I will see you guys in the next video. I hope you have so much fun creating with this new release. And don't forget to feed your creative soul. Bye, guys.